Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. You've hit the spot. The place where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Put your thinking caps on, because the conversation starts now. Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. This is the place where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome back. We are here today with Lucy Barrachina, and we're going to talk about all things pharmaceutical. Brains, big pharma and me struggle. Who doesn't struggle with it? I mean, who wants to take another pill for anything? You take a pill for that, a pill for that, a pill for that, then they cut out this, then they inject you with this and that. But it's a sign of the times. And here in America, as I've traveled around the world, we are really into trying to sustain and maintain. And we're working on preventative. We're getting better at that. But really, that's a lifestyle. It's not just a quick fix. You can't just, take a couple herbs and you be okay. You've got to have that regimen. You've got to have a clean gut. And you got to be careful. You can't be mixing apples and oranges. If you're doing one thing or you're self-medicating and then you're doing something else, it can be a recipe for disaster. So Lucy is a trained pharmacist. She's been doing this forever, but not only that, she owns independent pharmacies. We want to talk to her a little bit about that because these big box stores, and I'm not going to call them out, but you know exactly who they are. Let me tell you, they charge you for these medicines and it is crazy. I went to get a refill. They wanted $718 for one prescription. So I don't know how people are doing it. So she's going to talk to us about that and some alternatives and some really great stuff. So let's welcome her to the show. How are you, Lucy?
Thank you, April. That was a wonderful introduction. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
So, like you said, I'm Lucy Barrachina. I'm actually a doctor in pharmacy.
Oh.
I went to Texas Tech. And just because, I have the doctor in pharmacy, we still want to make sure, like you mentioned, our audience is consults medical doctor before taking any prescription meds or any type of therapy regimen. So regarding independent pharmacy, I wanted to point out that as an independent pharmacy owner, there's so many services that we can provide our customers, our patients. Our patients, like for us, they're not just a number. Our patients become part of our family once they come through the door. We like to treat everybody as family because we really, really care. That's one of the reasons I went to pharmacy school for. And so it's very important for me to treat every individual as part of my family because I do care about them. So that's one of the things that make us different compared to other, like the chain pharmacies out there. The other thing is I noticed some of the customers that come to our pharmacy. In my case, my pharmacies are either located inside or next to a pediatrician's office. And so a lot of people think that just because we're either next or inside a pediatrician, that we only fill prescriptions for that specific population. But we actually fill prescriptions for everybody, from, the grandma all the way to the little baby. Anybody can come to our pharmacy. We also take prescriptions from outside clinics or urgent cares or emergency doctors. So our pharmacies are open to anybody. It's not specific to just the pediatricians. You have a question?
You know what? Yeah, but you know what I like about it? Because there's an independent pharmacy around the corner from me. Now, mine is a little bit different because my husband's retired military, so I've had to change from my HMO to another type of prescription. But I'll get into that in a minute. But what I love about an independent pharmacy is that they have the time to look at what you're taking. They actually look at the cocktail. brains. They look and see if there's an allergic reaction. I'm big on that. Okay,
Mhm.
that's the first thing I
Yeah.
ask. Is it gonna make me swell up like a puffer fish? Is there a rash? Is my mouth gonna be dry? Are my eyes gonna be dry? These are things to look for within the first 24 or 48 hours of taking a medication. And long term effects. Read the paperwork. You may not understand all of the legalese, but highlight it and ask the pharmacist. Independent pharmacies will take that time. Now, that's not saying the big box stores won't, but again, like your doctor, they got 15 minutes. They've got 40 people waiting to get their medication. They don't have the time to dissect it. So I thank you for that. But also, you can suggest if people are interested into some herbal and alternatives to some of these medications. And people that are suffering with, for example, cholesterol, hypertension, or diabetes, those are the top three. There might be something that they might be able to do, pull back on. I don't know. What's your position on that, Lucy? Dr. Lucy?
Uh, Thank you. Thank you. Actually, I want to kind of like go a step back to what you were saying about the adverse reactions, because I'm also implementing pharmacogenomics in our pharmacies, just because I myself have had a very severe allergic reaction to medications. So we also offer some adverse reaction tests. There's a one-time test that people can actually take and take advantage of that and find out what type of medicines they can be allergic to. So that's a very important point. Yes,
So
yes.
it's a one-time test?
It's a one-time test, and then you can find out what type of there's a list of the most common adverse reaction medications that people most people have. It's not only about antibiotics, which are the most common ones,
Right.
but there's a lot of pain medicines and also some blood pressure medicines. Like I had a technician who almost died due to a blood pressure medication adverse reaction. Yeah.
The test that you're talking about, is that something that you administer? Is that something that we can ask our doctor to take? Is that something over the
Yeah.
counter? How do you get that?
Um, no, pretty much we can have the doctor submit the order, like the patient can come to us or reach out to me, and then I can get the test order for them. They will get it at home, and then they will do the test. Once we get the results, I reach out back to them and then discuss the results with them
Now,
and
is that
explain.
like a mouth swab, or do we have to draw our
It's a
own?
mouth swab. It
Really?
is a mouth swab. Yes, it is a mouth swab.
Super
Mhm.
expensive?
If it is cash, it's about $350,
That's
but also Medicaid and some private insurance are paying for it.
really.
For
Brains, you
yes,
want to take
yeah.
advantage of that? Are you kidding me? I know when I went
Mhm.
to China, it was a spiritual quest for me.
Mm.
And when I got there, the driver was looking at the itinerary and he said to me, "Tomorrow we will take you to the clinic." And I was like, "Oh, hell no." A black woman rocking an afro in China going to the doctor with no insurance. No, I'm not going. He goes, "Oh, yes, it's your destiny." And I said, well, when he said that, it was in full alignment with what I was there for. I get to this beautiful place. Inside, big koi fish. There's an herbal pharmacy down there. Herbs everywhere, roots and flowers and all kind of stuff. He checks my liver, my kidney, and my spleen right here at my wrist. He looks at the lines on the side of my tongue. He looks in my eyes. This was minimally invasive brains. There was no drawing any blood. There was no scanning. There was no biopsy. And let me tell you, that doctor read me like a cheap novel, cover to cover. It
Mhm.
was absolutely brilliant. And everything that he said is coming true. But along those same lines, I go down to the herbalist and they give me some herbs. Well, they have an herb for everything. I mean, they can turn you back 20 years. I come home, I make myself a cup of tea, a full 6 ounce, 7 ounce cup of tea, and I start to hallucinate. Oh, I
Mm.
was on a psychedelic trip like you wouldn't believe. And my husband said, well, what's wrong? And I said, well, I took this medicine that I got from China. And he goes, well, how much did you take? And I said, oh, I had a couple mugs full. He said, how did they serve it to you? I said, oh, about a few ounces. You have to be careful with these type of things. Plant medicine, again, it is plant medicine. You need to work with a trained professional like Dr. Lucy that has experienced this, that knows what they're doing, and then long term. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And in answering your question regarding my side on herbals, I actually um established, this relationship with medicine since I was very small, a child. My mom suffered from, I guess it was maybe irritable bowel syndrome,
Ooh.
and medication will not. She went to many different doctors. She finally found a natural medicine doctor who prescribed herbal medicines, and that was my first introduction to herbals. And actually, my mom did very well. She got, pretty much she got cured. I guess she found out the root of the cause of what was happening. So I really like natural products. I am a strong believer and that they can help. But once again, like you were mentioning, it's very important, to ask questions, ask your health professional, somebody that knows about these products. Because just like the traditional medicines can have side adverse effects, natural products can also, any type of other alternative medications or therapies can also cause some adverse reactions.
And you
So
got to be
I'll be
careful
more,
when when you're
yes,
self-medicating,
exactly,
I have had
yeah,
friends that have taken two or three different type of cold medicines. Instead of taking the cold
yes,
medicine just for the symptom, they've taken two or three and
yeah,
they have been jacked up like a soup sandwich. They were really messed up. Yeah,
yes,
you have to let all of that
yeah, yeah,
push through your body. Now, also, may I
yeah.
ask your nationality, Dr. Lucy?
I'm actually from El Salvador, Central America.
Central America. Okay,
Yes.
these are indigenous tribal people like Native Americans, like Africans, like Cubans. This
Hmm.
is all that we knew was how to heal.
Exactly.
I could tell you some remedies
Hmm.
that my mother has given me, and you would cringe, but baby, they work. Like if you, for example,
Yeah.
this is just a fun one. If your kids have a fever, put onions in their socks.
Hmm.
It breaks the fever. It's broken ours,
Hmm.
and we've tried that. This is kind of creepy, but it worked. I had an ear infection.
Yeah.
I said, put urine. I said, urine? They call it sweet oil. I put it in there. It went away. Now, I mean, these
Hmm.
are things, again, like I said, I'm not an herbalist. I just did what my mother told me. But some of
Yeah.
these things this is all that we had. This is all that we knew. We
Hmm.
didn't have
Yeah.
big pharma that had a cure for this or that. Also ask you about your position and your thought on marijuana. Marijuana has changed in the last 5 or 6 years, especially here in California, that it's a cure for everything. It used to be 3% THC, the hallucinogenic. Now it's 28%, 35%. It is genetically modified. It's going to cure seizures. It will make you sleepy. It will make you hungry. It will do this. It will do that. Just generally, what is your position and you about this miracle medical marijuana?
Well, marijuana, has been used for years. I remember, my grandma used to have a cousin who used it for arthritis, you know, and it has a lot of use for eyes, glaucoma. People with glaucoma, a lot of people use it. So there's a lot of marijuana, a lot of plants based. There's a lot of plant-based alternative medicine that can actually produce a lot of goodness, in our bodies.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, so I totally, I totally agree with marijuana uses for therapeutic uses. Definitely, definitely.
Right. But
And,
again, that's a it's a controlled substance. We're not talking about
it
sitting
is.
with a bong,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
doing that.
Yes.
You know,
It is.
but they're doing it in so many different strains now. You know, I went to a party
Yes.
one time and they had it in the nacho cheese. They have it in gummies. They have it in cookies. And people don't understand, again, it is a plant based medicine. They do not understand
Mm.
that there can be too much because there's people now going to the emergency room that are overdosing on marijuana where there
Yes.
used to not be before. Then they have the CBD oil, which is an extraction of that. It's not the hallucinogenic.
Yeah.
And they have these topicals. So it's all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff. But there's one other thing before I get back to what you were saying is now they are using or they're trying to legalize mushrooms, psychedelic mushrooms for
Mhm.
people. Now, you know, there's ayahuasca, there's all type of psychedelic mushrooms that really help people with mental illness. But you want to be careful and you want to be sure that you're not just buying it off the shelf in the store, that it is a controlled substance, that you are under the right guidance around the right people, and that you're being monitored. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Once again, everybody has to be very careful on what they're taking. The CBD, it's the extraction of the marijuana without the hallucin. I can say it.
Hallucinogenics.
Anyways.
I got you. I got you. I get it
Hallucin-
right there. No, I get it
Thank you.
because people
Thank you.
are, yeah,
Yeah.
because it can be really bad now. It can be really bad. And you don't know. And I'm
Yeah.
hearing that they're lacing it with fentanyl. It's an epidemic of this
Oh,
fentanyl.
yeah. That's a really life threatening,
It
um,
is.
combination. It is
I had
very
a
life
relative.
threatening. Yeah.
I had a relative that was addicted to opioids. And, you know,
Mm.
then they were on a pain pump. Then the pain pump was taken away and taken out, but the pain never went away. And then they went from one thing to another and the addiction kicked in. So I was watching a Netflix movie and they were talking about the opioid type of deal.
Mm.
Are people that
Yeah.
are addicted to things like, you know, opioids, is there really something that they can take eventually that will reduce their pain? Because it seems like they're in an incredible amount of pain. I mean, I could imagine a real bad L4, L5, you know, some
Hmm.
of those, these are chronic
Yeah.
illnesses.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I wanted to mention, I'm not only a pharmacist, but I'm a holistic pharmacist.
Mm-hmm.
For me, and by holistic, I mean, I believe in the power of the mind, the spirit, and the whole body. So I strongly believe, that all these people with all this pain, with the pain, can can get some relief from meditation, breathing techniques, massage. There's some other alternatives that are not necessarily prescription medicines that can actually provide the benefits that a prescription medicine could potentially provide. There's some mineral waters, here, in the United States. There's some, places where they have mineral waters. And there's, multiple other things that people can do. Um,
But what,
cleaning a lot of time, like sugar is a really a major inflammatory product. The more sugar we consume, the higher the chances that we're gonna, develop or experience the pain. So if we can start eliminating as much sugar from our bodies as possible, the person who's suffering the pain and inflammation can actually see some significant decrease in the pain.
well, I did a sugar detox, and I tell you, I had the headache from hell. I did not realize me and my husband had did that. And then when I had sugar again, it started to sting on my tongue. because my taste buds had changed. So I pulled back considerably. And brains, you have to understand that sugar is also used as a preservative, but how much of that you're giving to your child? It is addicting. They're saying that sugar can be as addicting as cocaine, because you want it
Yes.
all the time. You want it all the time. And I noticed things when my mother was transitioning, things that she didn't want anymore. Oh, she would love a cookie and a cupcake and ice cream and this, that, and the other. But as her body started to cleanse to prepare for the transition of life, she didn't want those things. She said these things are not good for you. She could definitely change. So I'm saying, you know what? I unfortunately started to live like she was dying and extract some of those things. Like today, I wanted to go to the fast food place and I just went to the grocery store and spent a bunch of stuff. And I fought it and I talked to myself and I said, nope, I'm going to go home. After I talk to Dr. Lucy, I'm going to make myself a big salad. And instead of having French fries, I'm going to make myself a big bowl of fruit, fresh fruit. I've got apples and pears and all this kind of stuff. Why are people, I don't know, do you think that it's because of the marketing of mainstream media that has really got people doing all of this, not taking the time? Because cooking is a meditation. Cooking with love is spiritual.
Oh, yes.
Again, a friend of mine puts certain oils, and herbs into that green alcohol and rubs it on her skin, and she feels wonderful. But big pharma wants you to take a pill, okay, and you'll be fine in 15, 20 minutes as soon as it absorbs in your body, but it's deteriorating your other organs. Let me ask you this. How about detoxes? When you talk about, because you want to cleanse your body, water is your friend, brains.
Yes.
Water is your friend, okay? But detoxing the body, you have to be careful with that too. How does a person start to move more towards a holistic path? Because, you can't just jump off one thing to another. How do we start extracting things and incorporating other things in a safe way?
A very important thing that I have learned is knowing your body, like talking to your body and realizing the needs of your body, like, a lot of times, we know that something doesn't go along, there's a food that our body doesn't tolerate that well, but we still go and then eat that food, for example.
Yep.
And then and then we're like in a sleep, or we feel bloated, or we have headaches, all kinds of things. So the first thing, in order for a person to start that detox, it starts here in the mind, because you want to make sure that you understand what your body needs are. And once you understand that and you realize, okay, this is what my body is telling me. I know it sounds maybe, weird at the beginning.
No, it doesn't.
But yeah, but then, once you start realizing the importance of recognizing and realizing what your body needs, then, that's how you start the path of the detox, or the actual detox, because then you're going to be more aware of what you're going to be putting on your plate.
Well,
so that's the step.
A couple things I did was I kept a food journal. Okay.
Okay.
My hormones were all bing, 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 bing. They were all over the place. And I was like, what's going on? So I started writing down what I ate. And then I looked at the reaction and how long it took for my body to react. I love bread. Oh my goodness. But I didn't realize how much I was eating. I was eating like 6 pieces of bread a day. 2 pieces of toast, and there's 2 pieces of bread with the sandwich, and there's 2 dinner rolls. And this thing called gluten. I didn't know what the gluten was, and dairy. Oh my goodness. One day I had a bowl of cereal, and then I had some cookies and a piece of cake and some milk. And I tell you, it was like a bugle call. I played a tune. Yes, I did. I was like, where is all this gas coming from? Now I just purchased almond milk for the first time the other day and I tried it and I said, this isn't too bad. It depends, I don't think I would probably cook with it, but it wasn't too bad to have with some cereal. Your palate will change. Your palate will
Mhm.
change and it will adjust. Fresh herbs. I used to get those packets of gravy and I looked on the back of it. I didn't know what half those ingredients were.
Mhm.
But I know what fresh basil looks like and thyme and rosemary. And I go out to my garden and get that and some flour and water. And I make, a broth. I make the best gravy ever now. So it's what you
Yeah.
put in your body, but you have to be conscious of it. So I totally understand what you're saying. And I talked to my plate. I said, hello, plate. There's too much white stuff on here. Let's add some color. Let's put some beets or this, that, yeah. And the more color and the more texture, I feel good about it. So yeah, the detox. Yeah,
Yes.
that's great. And then if you go back and you put things one thing at a time and you find that you have a reaction, you know that that's probably not the best for you. Your body changes
That
over time though, correct?
that is correct. That is correct. Like maybe at the beginning, when you were a child, you were tolerating some things, and as you start, aging or getting older, there's some foods that maybe you're not tolerating anymore. A good strategy that I like to, share
Please.
with you is that if somebody wants to find out if they have some intolerance or to certain foods, what they can do is like they can do like for 3 weeks, they can stop taking, let's say they can stop taking gluten and dairy, and they can stop like sugar, lowering on sugar items, like cakes and pastries, and anything that has added sugar, um, desserts, things like that. Also caffeine, they can stop on caffeine. Other foods that have usually, people are intolerant to, um, they can stop. Let me think of another one real quick. Um, but anything else that they think that they may be, they may have an intolerance to, they can stop those foods. Or eggs, eggs can be another one. They
Eggs
can stop the
and soda. Oh my
and
gosh.
well, soda has a lot of sugar, so stop, so stop the sugar. So they can, stop those foods for 3 weeks. After 3 weeks, they can start adding again one by, like, for example, milk, like cow milk. They can add the cow milk, wait 3 days, and see a reaction, see what kind of reaction they have to it. And then after the fourth day, they can add another one, and they can just write down what kind of how they felt when they ate that food, and keep a journal, of that particular item. So they can potentially do that whenever they have, to find out what type of intolerance they have. And that will be another way of, finding out, of detoxing the body, and finding out what is good for them and what is not good for them.
And medications are scary because you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
Really, you don't know if it's going to bother you. The pharmacist doesn't know. All she can do is tell you based upon, her experience with other people. There's one diabetic medicine. Again, like I said, I don't want to call them out because they'll be mad at me. But there's one diabetic medicine that everybody seems like they get it. And it causes diarrhea and it causes acid reflux. It's a whole host of things. And so I was prescribed this medicine. And I asked my doctor, I said, oh no, this is disrespectful to my soul. I'm not taking this. Okay. She says, oh, okay. Let me give you another prescription. They give me this other prescription. It's lower in milligrams. But again, it's 3 times the cost. So,
Mhm.
you know, I'm gonna pay for that $20 steak. I would pay for this, for this medication. But it is really, really sad when they know that they have one medicine that might work and they prescribe it to everyone, and it's not really a lot of options. I don't know what goes on in big pharma with the doctors and maybe incentives for having them try certain drugs, uh, especially diabetes. Now they've got all of these commercials that scare you to death. They'll tell you try this, try that, but then they run through the side effects at the end and you're like, wow, what do I do? So when you're taking a medication, what are some of the things that you tell your clients that come into the pharmacy and it's the first time that they've taken it? What are some of the suggestions that you give them for being cautious or looking for side effects? What are things that they should look for?
Well, I usually, now that I'm more into the holistic approach to medicine, I encourage them. For example, I also have high blood pressure, so right now I'm on this journey to lose the weight, be more mindful of what I'm putting on my plate, and also exercise. And I think that's one thing that I tell all my patients. You know, stop stop just laying on the couch watching TV. It's time, and that's one of the main reasons America is so sick.
Yeah,
There's so many diseases
yeah.
because we're not moving. We're not moving, and we need our body has been designed to stay in movement. We need to stay active, doing things, and that's another thing. Going back to the pain, that's another thing that people get pain because they are not moving. If they continue moving, those moving our joints, it's like when there's a car, then you don't move the car for a long, long time, then it takes time for the car to start moving again,
No,
or
you got to jump
your
the
tool.
battery.
Yeah,
You got to
well,
jump
down
the
the
battery because
battery,
it's been sitting
or
there.
or sometimes tools that and it's hard. You have to oil them. You have to add some lubricant so they can start moving again. So it's all about movement. Walking, uh, weightlifting. I also, if they have diabetes, I recommend building muscle. Our muscles are the ones that actually convert the sugar into energy.
Mm.
If we don't have muscle, and a lot of medicines can actually decrease muscle in our bodies. And also, if we're not moving, we're not building muscle. And as we age, we lose muscle too.
Well, I
So,
see my neighbor. She walks, I'm telling you, she walks at least a mile and a half and she's on a walker, brains. She's on a walker. She's determined to move it. She is determined to move it. She
wonderful.
is out there with her walker and it encourages me. I was going up this hill. I didn't want to go up the hill. I really didn't. But I said, how many people can't get out of bed? How many people can't move? How many people wish that they could? And it's like a glue. It's like it gets stuck to every organ in your body. Now
Yes.
cholesterol is a scary thing because people really don't, everything it seems like you eat is going to affect your cholesterol. And that's another thing. People don't want to change their diet. They've been eating those smothered pork chops and gravy and greens and sweet candy yams. They were born and raised on that. They don't know that there's alternatives. I like candy yams too, but instead of doing the candy yams, now I make mashed potato, sweet potatoes, less
Mm.
sugar. It's just as good. Brown sugar, vanilla, same thing, but I don't just have this thick coating of sugar on top of a yam that's already sweet. And I also look at the Asian culture, and in Italy, it's farm
Mhm.
to table. It's not all of this processed stuff. They shop every 3 or 4 days. If they do eat meat, it's fresh kill. It's not something that's been dead 2 weeks, comes to the butcher, sits in the freezer case at the store for 2 or 3 days, and you take it home and put it in your freezer for 4 or 5 days. So you have to really, and then the antibiotics and the steroids that they're putting this. I mean, really, how many chickens are there in the world? That's what I want to know. And some of these chickens, they look like, you get a wing and it looks like a turkey wing. So
yeah,
the vegan, then I look at the vegan diet. I don't see a lot of protein in that either. I think that it's a mix and a match. And again, working with someone like you on a holistic approach for medications, and also working with a dietitian or a nutritionist could really be of benefit. And ask for that when you go to the doctor. Can I have a dietitian? A dietitian is different than a nutritionist. Can I have a nutritionist?
yeah,
Do you have alternative options? Because they're only with you 15 minutes and you have to be your own advocate. Wouldn't you agree, Dr. Lucy?
absolutely. Yes. Yes, a lot of times, you have to, now people are, I'm very happy that people are looking for other alternatives and not just sticking to one thing. But my only worry is that, and one of the reasons why we want to create this awareness is make sure you ask questions. Just, go to the pharmacist, ask your pharmacist if that's what is closer to you. Ask your pharmacist and ask the questions. If they don't know the answers, ask another health professional that may know the answers. But don't rely just on what you watch on social media. There's some good things out there. There's some good things out there, but there's some things that are not good, and that's my worry about those sites.
Well, yeah, because you're going to self-diagnose. Oh my God, I've got this or I've got that, and then you go in and you see everything, and you skim over the one or two sentences that might be your situation, and you go right to catastrophe. Oh, I'm gonna turn purple, or I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna do that. And as we stated before, this is a lifestyle, brains. This is not a quick fix. Herbal medicines, from my experience, are long term. If you are going to be using turmeric and garlic, or and those are just examples, but those are things that you're going to incorporate in your diet all the time. You can't just do it for a week, okay, it's fine, and then you go back to doing the same old thing. You get rid of sugar for a week or two. It's the same thing. You stop smoking for a week or two, you stop drinking for a week or two, and then you go back to the same thing. You have to be consistent. You have to show up. This is your life we're talking about. You have to be an example for your children. And also, you want to
Absolutely.
look at the seniors, longevity, centurions, people living to 100 now. We may not be able to collect Social Security that long, but we'll be able to live a good, healthy life. Thank you so much, Dr. Lucy, for all of your information. I want to get more information about that test so that people can contact you. I think that that's a great
Yes.
investment to take a look at it. And then after they take the test, they can contact you and you can consult with them on what the results are and the findings.
Absolutely,
It's
absolutely.
totally
And
kept
I,
confidential because people are worried about them,
oh yeah, no,
all that.
everything is confidential. And then I also have, I also becoming a Holobody coach, so they can also, I can do a coaching session with them about the body, mind, and the spirit transformation as well.
Well, I tell you, I bring it to you. I give it to you 110% here on the Edge Brains, because I want you to live a happy, healthy, productive, full life. I really do. And that's why I do what I do. And I've been doing this for 20 years. And that's why Dr. Lucy has dedicated her life, as well as her cultural upbringing, as to understanding what the root cause is, because indigenous people are some of the first people on the planet. So we know what's going on. Okay. Um, thank you so much for being here. Please tell my brains how to get in contact with you and call you. I'm going to put your information at the back, but I also want you to verbally tell them how they can get it.
Yes, they can contact me at drlucybwell.com. There's a website where they can fill out their information, and I'll be happy to get in touch with them and set up, a session and just discuss whatever issues they may have. I'll be happy to get in touch with them, or they can visit my Facebook account, Lucy Barrachina.
Well, Brains, please take advantage of it. You don't know what you don't know. And again, if you are on any kind of current prescription or regimen with your doctor, continue with that. But know that we are here to provide you options and alternatives if that's something that you're willing to explore and if that's something that will benefit you. Thank you so much, Dr. Lucy. I appreciate you and value you for all your hard work and dedication.
Thank you, April.
All right. Bye,
You're
Brains.
wonderful. Thank you.